Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a bunch of tournament results over the past few weekends. I did miss Germany and Singapore, so here we are talking about the results and kind of seeing how the play environment will change, because this past weekend is the last weekend for this current format and going into set 2. So if you guys need any coaching for the upcoming BCS season, my Metafy link is in the bottom right hand corner. Feel free to book a session and we can get started on that season. So looking at Germany, nothing too crazy. I think everyone knows the gist at the moment. Luard, Shunui, and something else. So the first team, the something else is Youthberg, second is Morphonica, third is Raziel, and then fourth is Welstra. Pretty self-explanatory. Shunui, Luard are the best decks at the moment. Then looking at tri-regulations, so this is where things get a little bit spicy. So a lot of teams opted to bring Gurgit for the V slot, but obviously the third team brought Chaos Messiah and fourth brought Anj. The standard slots are pretty varying, I guess. So you have Shamu, Varga, Luard, and Shunui. And then premium, you have a Chronojet. So I'm guessing this is Crestjet. Crestjet coming first, with Shunui coming second, third, and then Gurgit coming fourth. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to take a look at the jet list. So pretty self-explanatory. You're playing 4 Mazy Gear Dragon, 4 of the VPR to essentially try to get your grade 1. The Time Leap engine to essentially multi-attack with insane amount of power with your crest. And then you're pretty much running like, I guess, old school-ish stuff. So, you know, you're still running your next stages, your history makers. Shlishma is still like one of your best strides. So yeah, like very, very straightforward. And you're playing one of the passage of time order, which is quite interesting. Essentially makes all your GB non-GB, which is pretty cool. So yeah, very interesting deck to see. Then jumping to another BSF, so that is Singapore. We didn't obviously cover this one. I think this one landed on a week where it was just itself. So not too much to cover, but anyways, alas. So the first team brought Varga, Shunui, Mygo. Second team brought Mygo, Shunui, and Varga. So pretty much the identical team as the first team. Third place team, so this is Gabriel sees the cards team. So bringing Varga, Luard, and Eva. And then fourth, bringing Luard, Shunui, and Varga. So Varga is in a very good position at the moment, especially going into set 2. I think Varga will see a bit more play. And with the new Triple R Rokusei that it gets, I think it makes the deck really, really strong, right? Positioning itself pretty much as one of the best decks in the format. Then going into the tri-regulation, so first place team brought Ange, Luard, and a Riviere. So I'm guessing this is the Riviere jump build. Second place brought Night Rose, Shunui, and Night Rose. Third place brought Night Rose, Luard, and Crest Nui, and then fourth brought Ange, Luard, and Crest Nui. Pretty, you know, straightforward meta picks, I guess. So like, you know, your Night Rose, your Crest Nuis. Riviere is a pretty interesting one. If you high roll, then you're pretty good. And I think in a team setting, I think it's pretty good because if you low roll, then at least your teammates can pick up the slack, right? So yeah, very cool. Then we also had the Cho Cup Deluxe in Hiroshima. So we obviously didn't get a nice looking pie chart, but the pie chart is on VG Paradox. So if you guys haven't checked out this website, make sure you do. Link in the comments, link in the description below to get all the deck lists I get, right? So a predominant Shunui, I guess, proportion of this pie chart. So top 16, a lot of the teams brought Shunui. Second being Varga, and third being Shojodoji. Shojodoji is a new deck that is, you know, sought out to be one of the best decks, if not the best deck in the format. And we'll see in just a sec, in a later event, that Shojodoji actually shows a lot of dominance in, I guess, the teams format as well. But looking at some of the lists that topped, so this is the prison list. This is actually very close to something that we might see in English, except this one is a very tanky build, playing 4 of the grade 2 rearguard PGs, this alien looking thing, and no like spot, you know, prison, like on place immediate prison or anything like that. No cuff springs, no macarites, yeah, none of that stuff. So you're essentially getting your prisons from your new grade 2 And then obviously the grade 1 to superior call, you have all your jumps with security upgrader and you know, essentially spamming Seraph Pure Light, and yeah, that's just pretty much how it is, right? So very tanky build, quite an interesting build, so to say, for Prison, because that's not really like the normal Prison deck that we are used to seeing, right? Then Blankmire, this is a new deck that is available obviously in English with the release of set 2. Obviously we don't have this new PR. This PR actually makes the deck really good. It's essentially a Servant Falcratia being able to put a card into your soul, and it's just really strong, right? But otherwise, pretty much everything else is available. So, you know, you're getting all of this in set 2. Servant Falcratia got reprinted as a box topper. Pretty much everything else is available to you. This order is really strong, being able to essentially call anything from your soul out and give it 5k. So you're essentially pumping, you know, your crit gainers by 5k and making them really hard to guard, right? So yeah, Blankmire, probably one of the newer best decks in the format. Then Staragia, I think that's how it's called, named, pronounced. This one is pretty interesting. Like, upon release, I didn't actually think a lot of people would actually bring this deck. But then again, in WGP, you obviously have diversity cut. So this deck just plays like a bunch of cyclers, a bunch of like the order searches, the grade 2, the grade 1, lots of generics, and that's pretty much it. That's what the deck is built around. None of like the exclusive Staraja stuff, which is, yeah, quite interesting, because obviously, you know, if you're a new deck, you kind of want to opt to play like a lot of its engine, but if the deck is pretty much filled with like a bunch of cyclers, you know, the deck just kind of operates itself, right? But yeah, keen to see how this kind of develops, because now it's just cyclers plus Staraja. I want to see like, you know, more of its mainstay cards, I guess, built into the deck. Obviously, there are some other decks that have the engine, but this one obviously didn't play it, right? Then moving forward to an event this past weekend, so that is Cho Cup Season 1 in Niigata. And as you can see, 8 out of the 16 teams brought Shojodoji, and that's half the distribution with diversity cut, right? So Shojodoji, I think, is one of the best decks in the format going into set 3. A lot of people thought that, you know, set 3 would be pretty lackluster, and here we are, you know, Shojodoji meta, and like it's taking more slots than Shiranui, which is impeccable, right? Obviously 7 Shiranuis and then pretty much 4 ofs, 3 ofs of Varga and Benny, and then pretty much a bunch of, you know, 1 ofs or 2 ofs of other decks as well. But pretty much the dominant mainstays are Shojodoji and Shiranui, so pretty much anticipated going into the set 3 meta for English later on. Then looking at the top 4 teams, so each team brought Shojodoji. So the first team brought Kairi, Doji, and Vargas. Second brought Messiah, Doji, and Leonor Vivace. Third brought Raziel, Arkai, and Shojodoji. And then fourth brought Benny, Raziel, and Shojodoji. So looking at the Kairi list, so this Kairi list is actually openly available in English. So I think everything but the Elementaria Sanctitude, which is behind my camera at the moment, that's the only thing that isn't available. But pretty much Festival Collection is nearby. You're pretty much picking that up. Pretty much everything else is there. So you have like your grade 4 Dragon, well, you know, Dragon Cycler clone. This comes in set 1. I think this also, this is like Lyrical 4. So maybe you don't have this card, but pretty much everything else you have, right? So yeah, you know, Kairi is, you know, coming back, and it's actually a deck that has really piqued my interest. So I think, you know, going forward, we might actually see a lot more representation of Kairi, and maybe, you know, obviously the Western meta is very different to Japan, no diversity cut. So wonder to see how this deck represents on the Western side, you know, later on. Then jumping to the Shojodoji deck. So Shojodoji, one of the best decks in the format, comes set 4, and this is pretty much like as straightforward as it gets. You know, 4 heals, 7 crit, 4 draw, 1 blue OT because red OT because Drag Vader's broken. You're pretty much playing 4 of this PR. Essentially, if you have 5 open CB, I think you can do up to like 10 to 12 attacks or something, which is pretty bonkers. You also run this other Raiden thing, another PR essentially, right? But it gets reprinted in Festival Collection, so you know, more counter charge, shield. It's just always good, right? You pretty much play a lot of like the new support from set 3, so this guy and this guy, and then yeah, Shojodoji is pretty much an anti Shunoi Oboro, because you essentially can place over the unit that, you know, is about to be dominated and attacked, so you just fizzle your opponent's attack, which is actually pretty crazy, right? Your opponent doesn't get drive checks. Yeah, really, really strong. Cool. Then looking at Varga, this is pretty much available in English now. So obviously, you know, Shuras and stuff. Rokusei, this is probably the best grade 1 that it got in set 2. And pretty much everything else is available, right? So here we go. You know, grab all your Varga pieces. You also have, you know, the grade 1 ride line, play that as well. And, you know, you have one of the best decks in the format, right? So that's Varga. And then Messiah. So Messiah obviously plays a lot of the cycler cards. Yeah, this thing in Festival Collection, the Dual Nation card, this makes Messiah really, really strong, has an early game. And, you know, a lot of stride decks, if they don't have an early game, then they're not that great, which is the case for Messiah. But, you know, with the Dual Nation card, it is obviously something that, you know, is buffed now for Messiah, and we see more play of it. And I actually think we'll see a lot of Messiahs in the Western side, because, you know, the Western side actually really like playing Messiah and, you know, the Link Joker stuff, right? So I actually think we'll see a lot of this once, you know, the Festival Collection drops, and moving forward for the Western meta as well. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Otherwise, pretty much everything else is kind of as it is. Then jumping forward to an event that I just recently played, and that is Abushura Springfest in Sydney. So a lot of the teams that I saw over the weekend were playing some pretty spicy stuff. So the first team, DFG CBF, brought Luard, Welstra, and Shunui. Pretty normal, you know, you package Luard and Shunui with something else. It's pretty good. Jonah the Magic Mouth bringing Luard, Eva, and Shunui. Third, Vambros Sigma Riz bringing Shunui, Luan, and Prison, and this is without set 2 support. And then fourth place, Illegal Team Name bringing Welstra, Kyrie, and Messiah. So pretty cool, I gotta say. So I'm just gonna check out some of the decks. So this is Welstra. A lot of people like to play the, what's it called, the Operator Girl, the one that like draws you a card. I think this list is built to just go face and call it a day. No time to farm, because if you're farming, you're not killing them, and you know, you go one way or another, right? So yeah, very cool list. I gotta say, it's a very aggro deck, and to be honest, that's pretty much how Welstra should play, to be honest, right? Then looking at the Luan deck, so Luan plays the Tayfault engine. It has an order of its own, so it essentially procs Tayfault. And then pretty much everything else is like the Luan package, having CC in Enucleate Angel, and then you're essentially being able to like call out stuff. Forcing out is pretty busted, right? So Luan's pretty cool. And then we have the Kyrie list. So this Kyrie list is very close to what we have in Japan. Sorry, Lyrical 4 is out. What am I saying? Lyrical 4 is out. I completely forgot we had the Trick or Treat set, and this is the part of the Trick or Treat set, right? So yeah, we pretty much have everything for Kyrie to be full power as it is in Japan, and Japan showing results coming first, and then obviously you know, showing fourth. So maybe this is a deck I have to pick up real soon. I think this deck is like super cool. Might give it a whiz real soon and just kind of see what results I can get with this deck. So yeah, very cool, very high rarity, like LSR, frames, FFRs, like here and there, like, whew, goddamn, that's a lot of money. Big cash money. So yeah, very cool. Playing with Lister ride line, because, you know, it's just draw 2, filter out a card in the deck is just like real good, right? Then looking at the tri-regulation, so my team, Justin Mao and Yang came first. So we brought Gurgit, Eva, and Katrina. I have a deck profile on Katrina, pretty much going through the whole deck, what inclusions I made, the tournament report. Feel free to check that out, link in the description. Second, I'm about to come playing Gurgit, Luard, and Katrina. BSF Cubed. This is a really interesting team. We played them in top 4. Big shout out to them. This team was, you know, cooking, right? So bringing Hamske, Welstra, and DOTX. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, right? And then 4th was Project Dauntless playing Gurgit, Leonorn, and Kresnui. So just looking at the EVA deck that Yang brought, yes, it's not max rarity scrub. All right, Yang, come on, man. Like, you got to get 4 of the EVA PRs in foil, but otherwise it's very similar to like the Japanese lists that play, you know, the monster booster. And I think I was like looking over at one game, and then like Yang, I think hit like a bunch of triggers and then like said 68k or something, or like 66k or something. I was like, whoa, what the hell? Like, I didn't know EVA could hit that high, right? And then I saw it's because of this booster. This booster is really, really strong. And I tested into this a lot. Just being able to like thin out your deck is just really, really strong. And then compressing deck, you know, fishing out for PGs because you're running 3 monster PG. Yang decided to play 3 monster PG, 1 Elementaria instead of the traditional 4. Kind of makes sense, especially if you're playing in a Luard dominant meta, right? So if your opponent damage denies you on Drag Strider, you drop an Elementaria, call it a day, right? So yeah, very cool list. Then looking at the Hamske list, this guy was cooking, right? This is very similar to like one of the earlier Hamske lists that we saw in the US. Yeah, pretty straightforward. 4-4-1, 1 Hamdon, being able to put stuff in Soul, and then pretty much you have a rewrite down into Hamske. I remember one of the judges from Perth, he was judging Matt. He came over, was like, oh yeah, explaining the story, and then he turns away, turns back, and then sees 8 Excel circles or something, and then hits a front. That's like GG, man. So yeah, very cool. Multi-Excel deck. Hit a front, call it a day, and your opponent just packs up and yeah, you know, goes home, right? So yeah, Hamske is pretty cool. Then looking at the DOTX deck, so this player played against me in top 4. It was a really tight match. Pretty much I had to like double trigger him, put it all on my rear guard, and he only had 2 cards in hand and it wasn't PG, and then had to eat like 3 crits. But yeah, it was a really grindy game, surprisingly. Healed from 1 to 0, didn't get a restand on the first grade 3 write-up. And then pretty much I farmed PGs for like 3 straight turns, and then yeah, just pretty much outgrinded, right? So yeah, very interesting list. Playing the blue OT instead of Drag Vader, I would have thought you'd play Drag Vader, and playing 1 destructive Raw as well, which is, you know, pretty spicy. You can just drop like, you know, all of your like great. Where's the grade 1 PG? I swear there was a grade 1 PG. Oh, so he doesn't run grade 1 PG. So you just like drop like a 30k, and then you destructive rolls like 40k and just bounce back, which is like pretty good, right? Same concept as the OT. And then, you know, you just thin your deck out using your Conros, buy Attack Dragon. Yeah, I think one turn he dropped like double Calamity plus 30k to the Vanguard, and I was like, oh goddamn, like what am I gonna do here? And I'm playing the Hulk Roll package to essentially blow up 2 cards. Pretty interesting because you can essentially countercharge everything back, right? So yeah, very cooking list, I gotta say. Big respect to this player playing the deck that they love, right? Cool, and that is pretty much all the results that we have over the past few weekends. Springfest Sydney was amazing. I think we have a few more events. I think Vietnam's next week, and we have France in like August, which is like miles away. And obviously the BCS season is coming up very, very soon. So, you know, holding up to the news coming out next week on Friday. So yeah, if you guys like this video, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of all the results over the past few weekends, anything that struck out to you. Kyrie definitely strikes out to me. You know, it's a deck that I played previously, and, you know, being able to play it again and, you know, compete at a high level, it's definitely something that I'm going to try out and see, you know, if it's successful, right? If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.